Hello and welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us right now on iTunes, go on ahead, let your fingers do the walking, walk on over to the review section. Give your girl a 5-star review. I will read the best reviews every week, so long as they are 5 stars. Quick shout out to our sponsor, Cushy Dreams. Guys, there's only one way to deal with the stress of the world, and it is through, I think, smoking CBD. I want to tell you guys about Cushy Dreams. Here we go. Oh, the website. Smokable CBD. They specialize in CBD-rich hemp flower, aka bud, in cans and pre-roll CBD joints. I personally really love these 5-packs of joints. Like, I'm not in my 20s. I'm not about to load up a bowl or a bong and smoke. I'm going to be classy and have a joint. I can have just a couple pulls and my mind and body feel relaxed, and I'm not going to get high. I'm not going to go out to lunch because sometimes you just want to get some stuff done and you don't want to get super high. You'll enjoy all the health benefits of CBD without getting high. There's under 0.3% THC in all of these products. It's cannabis. Right. Where was I? I was talking about Cushy Dreams. Looks, feels, smells just like high quality marijuana, but it's not. It's not going to get you high. Join the men and women who are sick of vapes and gummies and want to smoke their CBD. Go to cushydreams.com and use promo code CMP to get 20% off your whole order. That's right. There's a promo code right there. So excited to have this girl on the pod today. My God. She is so funny. She is so anti-woke. She embodies everything that I try to be every day on this program. She's a comedian, a writer, a producer. She hosts her own show, Dumpster Fire, on YouTube and the podcast Walk-Ins Welcome. It's Bridget Phetasy.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I love your YouTube channel, and I'm wearing a black V-neck in honor of you.
They're the best.
Because I was like, you know what?
They're
Sometimes I forget that I have all this going on that I'm not sharing.
I love when people get mad about it, which is often. They'll be like, please stop showing your cleavage. It's distracting. I'm like, no. It's more like the bait on a lure. And some people are going to take it and bounce, and other people are going to be like, oh, boobs, and then they'll start listening and they'll hang out. I have no problem using what.
Of course. It's
God
like
gave
when you go fishing, sometimes the fish will bite the worm, swim away. All right. They outsmarted me this time, but sometimes they'll bite all the way down and then you got them. Then you got to just reel them in.
Yeah, it's from the very beginning of building an audience, I was very clear on just one joke, one piece of content at a time. I didn't want I'm grateful I've never had a viral moment where I've had millions of kind of fair weather fans. I love that it's just audience building, one person at a time, connecting to those individual audience members. And it might take longer, but I feel like it's so much. They know how bonkers I am. They've seen me through kind of my ups and downs and ins and outs, and they know I'm all over the place. And it's not like somebody who saw one thing and thinks they're gonna agree with every single thing you say.
Yeah, this is your YouTube channel. It's so great. I love it because you'll do these quick clips and then you have your whole episodes. But it really just feels like you're talking to a friend and you're so real and you just don't give a fuck and you're honest and you don't come off like you're worried about sounding super polished all the time. You're just you.
I'm not, it's the book I'm working on right now, or I'm trying to write something, and it's called The Accidental Pundit. And it's weird being a comedian and then ending up kind of in this caught in the crossfire of the culture wars. And I've been thinking a lot about this because there's that expression, you fall the way you're leaning. And I'm like, I have to stop saying yes to punditry. If I'm going to be talking for free, I need to be on stage doing comedy, because that's what I want to do. It's more aspirational. I like to make fun of myself. I have so many funny stories of my own life that are just ridiculous and absurd. And I find punditry to be, it's like people who couldn't become comedians. No, I mean,
there are definitely a lot of those out there. Yeah.
I just don't want to do it. It's not inspiring to me. It doesn't feel, and I just haven't been getting on. I mean, we're in California. I'm in California, so it's the stages have not been open, but there are people who've been getting up, and I took a big kind of break when I was building Dumpster Fire and Walk-ins Welcome and the online stuff, but now I'm just feeling so restless. I just want that awkward bombing stage energy.
Absolutely. And it's amazing that you've been able to build like such a wonderful YouTube channel. And I think there was a shift. Of course, people couldn't perform on stage as much. People weren't going to clubs. They were like, look, we're home, we're locked down. God, if you're in Europe, you're probably still totally locked down. It's so sad. But it's like people were given all of the time and all of the internet. So like myself included, I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to like jack up this podcast and go multiple times a week. And people have been looking for content, and they've been looking for people who make sense, who resonate with common sense. And because all the messages we're getting from our legacy media and a lot of social media, it's enough to make you crazy. Like this kid the other day, at the Holiday Inn Express, this clip that's been pretty viral on Twitter. It's this worker. He's probably this like young guy in his 20s. He just has his camera on him, and he's just sitting there. He's standing there still. Like, did you see this? And he gets to the point where here, since I am a woman in tech, I will bring this up.
I've been kind of trying to stay. I think I heard about this. I've been trying to stay. I was just writing about this in my Phetasy community. I have like a subscriber community, and we post goals. We do workouts. Ooh. It's actually a lot more. It's like how I stay sane. And one of the guardrails I need to put around myself is not being on Twitter.
Okay, well, I'm about to put some Twitter in your face. Here's
All
this
right.
kid,
I can handle it.
Tariq Nasheed. I'm not sure what he does, but he's a journalist.
I did hear about this.
He retweeted this, because everything is about race now, and you can't just be a person having a bad fucking day. And so anyway, he tweets out this video of this poor kid.
Oh, is this the one where he just?
So you want to get mad and hit the computer because you made a mistake? Because your company made a mistake?
Like this guy's being so rude off the bat.
So why did you get mad and hit the computer? Why did you get mad and hit the computer? I'm sure you're on camera, right?
Poor guy.
I'm sure you're on camera.
Like at this point, you put your camera phone away. Like you press stop.
So this is the type of people that have working here.
This is so sad. I can't even watch it. I'm gonna
oh no.
It's so sad to me. Wow.
And he goes behind the thing, he's crying, and then he follows him around the corner.
I just can't. I can't. All of the violence and the horrible shit we've seen on video in the past couple of years, all of it, like from George Floyd to.
Oh no, I made you upset. Oh my God, Bridget.
No, I hate.
It's horrible. Yeah.
People have lost their humanity. That's just sad. I mean, he's probably got like he's probably on the spectrum, like that kind of behavior is clearly like they probably gave him like a entry-level job so he could have something to do, and it's something not too stressful. I don't know his story, but it's like that. I don't understand. I hate all these videos. I hate the one about the woman getting shot, and so like we're seeing people get shot on video over and over again, and it's just I don't think it's good for any of us. And then we all fight about it, and it's like everybody takes a side, everyone like lines up, and I'm like, I think we can all agree that we don't want people to get stabbed. We don't want people are not doing well, like that I don't know, that just like is so sad to me. And then you videotape it, and now he's viral, and it's like it's all so upsetting.
And all the while, like, each of us are getting desensitized to exactly what you said, watching people get shot
clearly
and
I'm
die
not.
and watching, my God, though. I mean, I'm so sorry. If I had like
No,
known
it's
you were gonna, I figured
I
you just,
try so hard to not I don't want to get desensitized to any of it. You know, I actually don't want to. I think that it is not healthy that everyone passes this stuff around and laughs at it and mocks it, all of it. Like black, white,
none of it is
Latino. I
good.
don't think any of this stuff is helpful to us as humans to be, you know, you just start putting everybody in these mental boxes, and it's just like the person taking that video is a human. I don't know what they were thinking or what their problem was, and the guy, he's obviously not. I mean, I worked with kids with autism, and I worked with kids who had meltdowns like that, you know, like young adults, and it's hard. It's just like I see so many people fucking struggling, and why we're making it so much harder on each other, and why we're not we're just so hard on each other. We're hard on ourselves and we're hard on each other.
Yeah.
And
And
it
it
just
seems like it's all kind of, it's like, right, the guy who's filming, he's doing this because he knows he's going to get some sort of like social props from it. He's going to feel validated. If he can validate that this poor kid is racist, he gets whatever, his viral fame, he gets whatever, he gets to be internet famous for a little bit. And this poor kid, and a buddy of mine, do you know Jeremy from The Quartering?
no.
He basically did like a GoFundMe for this kid just like last night. And it turns out, I don't know if he was bipolar, but he had some kind of like a mental illness thing, because they found him on Reddit because he was like, hey, that's me in the video. I was just having a really bad day. I have like XYZ, mental thing. He was like sounding suicidal. He's like, I just want to live for my boyfriend. And like this poor kid. So Jeremy raised like over $30,000 for this kid. And I think they finally connected, and this guy stepped down from his job. So I was like, okay, that is pretty amazing. That shows the side of humanity that's like, sees somebody struggling and is like, you know what? We're going to raise some money for this guy, and he's getting it to him. And, maybe he can do a vacation and then pay his bills while he looks for another job. But it's like what you said. Yeah, they probably figured, let's stick him in the front to answer phones. It's not too difficult. And then he just gets
Customer
bullied.
service in general is just nightmarish because people treat you like a human punching bag. Any front facing public dealing job is just, I have so much compassion for anyone working with the public as someone who is a waitress for so long. But yeah, I think that it's like, we make fun of everything on Dumpster Fire because that's just how I cope.
You have to. Yeah.
Yeah, but those things, those kinds of videos are just they're also it's dehumanizing, but it's dehumanizing to all of us. It's dehumanizing to those of us who witness this. You know, those acts of it's like callousness, blatant callousness, the violence we're seeing all day long. I mean, we were seeing it on television, but now it's just viral videos and all kinds of. My friend was telling me that like her 9-year-old daughter came home white as a ghost after hanging out in her neighborhood with a bunch of kids they were playing with, because the kids were showing all these TikTok videos of like animals that had been hung and like people. It was like gruesome stuff, and she was like, you should be upset by seeing this, but you know what humans are barbaric. There is like something barbaric, and I do think that that is the kind of soothing effect of civilization, is that it allows us to rise above some of that tribalism and theoretically above some of that barbarism. Although I see, it's all like, we're still barbaric. It's just more like corporatized, state sanctioned barbarism, like putting people in jails and bombing other countries.
Right.
It's just humanity, man. It's a freaking trip. Like there's such a spectrum, and now with the internet, we're exposed to all of it almost at once. You know, like
Yeah. And
target.
it definitely doesn't seem like the goal of the media, right, or corporations is to like truly uplift. It's like, no, like they want to put blood in the water. That way the people who have a taste for vengeance or revenge, right, they'll jump at that. They'll be like, look at this white boy, let's get him. You know, like people just can't have bad days anymore. Everything is racist. And the corporations like making all their employees like take these tests. Like, no, you have to prove that you're a racist. You know what I mean? Like the test will basically be like, yeah, you have to accept that you're racist, or else you won't like pass this test and you don't get to keep your job. It's wild. It's like, and Rose McGowan just came out, I think it was like today or yesterday, saying like Democrats it's a cult.
It's a cult on the right, though, too. I mean, it's funny to me that somebody would go on that network and say that it's a cult, because there's plenty of cultish mentalities on that side of the spectrum. And anyone who's been kind of dragged by MAGA knows that. You know, there was like no criticizing of it was like Trump is evil or Trump can't do any wrong. Those were the kind of two sides of the same coin. So to act like, and like QAnon is literally a cult. So
for sure.
To act like there isn't that, it's funny. It's funny to me. I think we're all susceptible to falling into
extremes,
cults or like group think. Yeah. And I understand why she would say that. And the stuff with the biggest problem I have with everything is racist, that, you know, like that's one of our segments even on is that on Dumpster Fire, is that it minimizes actual racism. When everything is racist, nothing becomes racist. People start tuning out. We start rolling our eyes. That is not a good response to have to racism, because racism is real. It has been something that is systemic in the past in our country. There are long-term consequences of those things. We do have issues that we want to solve and lift people up and help people who are in need. And when people start just rolling their eyes at constantly being told that, being shamed, essentially being told that they're racist, being told all of these things that might not be true because there's no objective proof that someone's behaving that way, you start having the opposite effect. I think it's and even worse than maybe having someone, I think apathy is even worse than having somebody getting mad about this. It's most people just going, and like tuning out.
There's too much. We can't decide what's real, what's not. Everything is racist. Right. Like, right. And all that matters is one person's perception of it. There's no, like you said, there's no way to like verify actual intent, because it's like, well, I guess intent doesn't matter because people are going to call it what they want to call it.
Right. It might be like that magical kind of implicit, you know, bias, or all of us have biases. You know, that's crazy to act like not everybody has some kind of bias is also racist. You know, like all humans have biases. It's based on where you were born, what your socioeconomic circumstances were, factors that are completely out of control, the luck of the freaking dice of where you wound up in the world. Everybody has them. If you were born in Afghanistan, you would have biases about America and about the Western world based on some of the religion that you were taught. Like, this is just called being a human. So much of this is just being a human, and it's strange. Like, there's so much lip service given to mental health and humanity, and we need to care, and it's a very strange, it seems to be counterproductive or counteractive to what people are actually saying. It's like, we need to care about the humans while we divide everyone up into little groups and war with each other.
Yeah, it is lip service, because it's like, from everything we see in the media and hear, like our journalists say, like, I feel like I have to put that in quotes every time, but it's like, yeah, because you're not, it's just what you're saying. You're not making things better. We're still, clips like these are still going viral. There's still just there's horrible, it's fear porn. It's like they're taking advantage of humans. It's like they're trying to appeal to like our very base emotions and exploit them for clicks and views. And if you're so afraid and you get, kind of transfixed on the news, like, well, I'm so afraid, so I have to be in the know. And the only way to be in the know is to keep watching. And then that's like your whole day goes by. And guess what? You don't know everything. You're just locked into that fear. It's a loop.
Yeah. And I have to be really careful about one of the things that people always call me out on, and rightfully so, is they'll say, who's they? Because I'll say they want to do this. And it's like, who is they? Because they is a group of individuals, or it's an individual, or in this instance, it was somebody who posted a video. We have no control over what goes viral. That's not something you can force, really. So we are also all partaking in this by engaging in it, by watching it, it's like we're collectively all a part of this madness. And I've been thinking so much about it because part of me, you're one of the last podcasts I've said yes to speaking on, other than even my own.
Aww.
Because I feel like I'm part of the problem, just the very aspect of speaking, because no matter what I say, someone's going to be like, well, actually, and it starts on Twitter and people are looking for reasons to disagree and be outraged. And I'm like, I didn't want to do it. This is what I mean about the accidental pundit. I didn't want any of this. I wanted to come out here and tell stories and write science fiction comedies and tell jokes about how I took myself on a date and it went horribly wrong and it was hilarious. I want to tell those stories that unite. This is what I love about art and music, and the things that the creative impulse in humans is so beautiful. And it's so, I feel, aspirational and uniting. And when we problematize every single thing and we're dividing everything into immutable characteristics that we have no control over, and we're online and being absolutely manipulated by our governments, the algorithms, corporations trying to get our attention and our dollars, it's funny to think that we have any power over this stuff. Like, it's actually comical. And so the only way that I can really exert any control over any of it is putting really, like today I wrote it in my Phetasy community, the motherfucking guardrails. I was like, I need guardrails around this stuff. Because I will get affected by that video, and it will, it will upset me. And I don't actually think it's a bad thing that these videos upset me, but every day there's a video that's traumatic. And we are humans. Like, rubbernecking is a thing because we can't turn away from that kind of car accident. We're naturally wired to look at fear porn, that it preys on some of our most basic instincts in our evolution. So I'm like, to think that I have power over any of this, like super smart people in technology and super hardwired, things in my DNA and evolution, and I'm just like the human kind of caught in between. It's sad. It's a very sad. This is not going to turn out well.
That's actually like, it's a very wise thing you're saying. And then I'm thinking like, man, should I have not shown that clip? But it's like, you and I watch it, we feel for this person. And then we're able to step back and be like, wow, the system is kind of fucked. And it's not even like that viral clip is going to be viewed by the people who need to see it. Like an aggressive, revenge-bound individual is not going to look at that clip and be like, I got to change my ways. They're going to be like, good, that person's you know what I mean? It's like, are we even changing anybody's minds? Is it worth it to have the conversation? And it's like what you said, it's good to consciously be like, I'm going to consciously put funny, well-intended art out there that reflects like my soul and my purpose and my strengths. But I think like both you and I kind of like, we get sucked into this, right, like sort of pundit world because people crave like honesty and realness, and comedians are, basically truth tellers. And since our observational skills are like way up here, it's like that also does serve us from, to comment on society and what's going on, because we don't have an agenda. It's not like, I mean, like, yeah, I have like a CBD and a nicotine gum sponsor. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
until you start seeing a whole episode where I talk about these things, it's like, yeah, we're not like bought and paid for. So it's like this pull between like, are there people that need us? And I would never think this because my ego and my self-esteem are like so down here. But it's like you see enough comments that are like, thank you, or please talk about this more, or please talk about the woke more. So you're like, okay, people crave this content and this viewpoint. But right, I guess it's all about checking in with yourself and being like, okay, am I feeling a little bit too much this week? Do I need to like pull back off the news and the commenting and just focus on creating something silly or fun?
Yeah, and it's easy. Again, what you as I was opening with saying, like, you fall the way you lean. We are being pushed into leaning in that direction because we're being rewarded. The algorithms reward us when we throw chum into the water. I mean, there are parts of me, I get to be feisty on Twitter, but then sometimes I'm like, God, I just that's one facet of me that people are seeing, and they're deciding who I am based on that one feisty tweet they see, and they're like, I hate that girl. And so I'm like, trust me, I fucking hate that girl too.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I hate myself on that freaking platform because it does sometimes it brings out the best of me, and I've met so many great friends, and I love, like, I can't throw the baby out with the bathwater on Twitter in particular, but other times I'm like, God, I don't need to be
like this fucking baby. Yeah. No, like
this baby does need to be thrown out with the bathwater. Or like I don't know. Lately I've just been I really have been stepping back and reevaluating all of it. And I agree with you because I get those same emails and comments from people being like, thank God, thank you for saying this. And I do think a lot of people in our space have abdicated their role as comedians and funny philosophers and people who are commenting and traded it out for an ideology. And I don't think ever a comedian should be an ideologue. Like, no, that's the opposite of what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be making fun of yourself, I can contradict myself in 2 sentences because my brain is just like that. It's like, oh, really? Actually, like, my brain is the actually guy, actually to me, actually to everybody, it's annoying. It's not always fun, but it does make comedy fun because I can see my own hypocrisy. I can see hypocrisy is everywhere right now, but I don't think it's ever should your comedian be your comedy. No one who's an ideologue is ever funny.
No.
Because you have to be too serious and take yourself too seriously to be an ideologue.
You can never be wrong.
Can never be wrong. There's a lot of self-righteousness that goes along with it. And no one, it's like, it's very hard to be. This is why I think conservatives, particularly, they always say like the right isn't funny. They're getting funnier because there's so much to make fun of on the left. But it is hard to, I think, for many years, because it was like they were the kind of moral arbiters of like clutching their pearls and looking at everybody and telling them like, no, and shaming everyone. Like, that's
more religious.
No one
yeah.
finds that funny.
Yeah. You don't want to have a drink with that person.
That's
just like, yeah,
shaming
you don't want
people in moral righteousness is not funny ever. It's lecturing, and it's you are the people that get made fun of.
Yeah, like the further out on either side you get, yeah, these are the it's like the wokesters or like the hyper, like, right, like religious conservative, like they're both super judgy and they're both people you don't want to be friends with or hang out with because, right, there's no forgiveness in there. There's no like, oh, that kid had a bad day, or like, oh, he's going through some shit, or like, oh, guess what? Like everybody is learning all the time, and I think everyone's trying to do their best unless they're limited by, factors put there by their family or by like a chemical imbalance or just their own issues that haven't worked through.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's very challenging. It's definitely, I was just in Joshua Tree, like doing tons of soul searching around this just because.
I thought you were going to say drugs. Like drugs, soul searching, same thing.
No, I don't do drugs anymore.
Oh, right. You were like very much not about that.
No, I used to be massive. I mean, that's why people, when they give me shit for, I have lots of friends who feel different ways about the vaccine, and I like don't care because I didn't really care. It's not that I didn't care about COVID. I wasn't afraid of COVID.
Yeah, me neither.
My husband works at a grocery store, so like he was coming and going the whole time. Like, we're gonna get it.
Was he nervous about it?
No, we were both just public? Like whatever.
Yeah.
If we get it, we get it. We're young, we're healthy, so we weren't too worried about it. And then with the vaccine, we both met in recovery, and we were like, we've like looked for drugs in carpets. We're not about to start getting picky about what we put in our bodies now. So we were just kind of like, whatever. If that kills us, that kills us too. I think I am very Irish Catholic in that respect. I think it's also just, my cousin and I were talking about it. I think it is just like an Irish Catholic sensibility. We grew up in a huge family. My dad and my cousin's mom are 2 of 10 kids. There were like 26 grandkids running around. They were very just like, something's gonna kill you. It was a very
live and let live. Yeah, let people do what they want.
So, yeah, let people do what they want. Our family's it was a totally diverse array of people, and even within the family, just like super left. One guy's a communist, one's super right. It just, they all ended up in with their own opinions, and we grew up just, my grandparents, God bless them, were very much like, you do not have fallings out. How do you say that? You don't have a falling out with anyone in your family over money or politics. You just don't.
Okay, that's good. That's great advice.
Drilled into us. Yeah, it was crazy. Even when my grandparents died, the 10 kids, like, it was so democratic the way they divided I'm like, this would be a nightmare in so many other families. And it was just like, they got together, they were sad, they grieved together, they had like a very democratic system for doing it, and it was very easy. There were no fight. It's crazy to me. But that was all my grandmother being like, you don't fight about that stuff.
Yeah. And it sounds like, you were raised with really good values. You kind of know what's important, and it's such a waste of time to fight over bullshit. And it's interesting. Like, I believe too, it almost reminds me of like, kind of like Carlin, like George Carlin, like, comedians are really outside. We're supposed to keep ourselves like outside of the machine. So we are kind of more in a place to comment on it. And like, I do tend to make fun of the left more than the right, but only because I was such a super woke liberal feminist. So I almost feel like I have to make up for the years that I spent like so brainwashed.
It's always the like converted, it's the like the born agains are always way more hardcore because I think they do feel that sense of having to prove themselves or something. But I think too, because it's like your family, for me, I feel like, well, I don't know. Like, I made fun of conservatives my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
That was just what
it was easy.
It was easy. And also I was like you, I came from the left. I was never really like into feminism. Weirdly, my like honors English class was like, you're gonna set feminism back like hundreds of years. I just was like, what's the problem with a guy opening the door? But I have come to respect those early waves of feminism and what they sacrificed and gave to us being able to even like do this talk. And I
talk with our faces out with a computer.
With our faces out. Just today, Yasmin Mohammed was posting about a woman who was stabbed to death by her brother in Saudi Arabia because she posted her face on social media. And this is where I'm like, feminism, it matters. And by the way, we should be fighting for those women and helping them in whatever way we can, or at least giving them attention. It's like horrific in other countries. To
At
be
least
a woman.
be open to like, hey, do you want to get out of this? Like, if you're cool with it, you're cool with it. But like, yeah, do you want to get out of this system? Like,
Yeah.
not just
So
like,
I think it's easy now though. There's so much low hanging fruit on the left because my God.
yeah.
Because they treat all of this stuff like a religion. So in the same way that I love making fun of religion, this is all like a religion too now.
Oh yeah, and like DC trying to become a state, to me it feels like when I was little I used to share a room with my sister growing up, and I get mad at her and I'd be like, this is my room, and I'd put like a tarp across the middle and I'd be like, you can't come in here. But she'd be like, but the door is on your side of the room. Like, I needed to get out. Like, go out the window. That's what it feels like right now. It's like you just like, I don't know. It kind of doesn't.
Where are you?
I'm in the basement. No, I'm in Westchester right now. I'm was born and raised Long Island, lived in like Queens and Brooklyn for many years, but now I'm in Westchester.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like, yeah, always been kind of hovering around New York.
Yep.
And yeah, I am excited to get back on the road and do more shows. Because that is what I was going to say before. It's like when you're doing this, like pundit, like commenting on the news. Yes, it's fun. You can have so much fun by yourself. And I think you have like another woman on your show that you like banter with.
Oh,
but,
yeah. The two women, Maggie and
oh,
Sam.
okay. But there's nothing like being in front of a live crowd. You get that immediate reaction. You get that immediate feedback of, like I was in Wilmington, Delaware this whole weekend, and I didn't like wasn't prepared for it, but the audiences were like 98% Black, which I'm like happy to do. Of course, it's like it's a different muscle to work for sure. It's like they will let you know right away if what they think of you. It's like there's no like they're not gonna be polite. They're not like if you're funny, and they're down with it. But I think that on one set I did like a little bit too much crowd work on this one girl. Because she was like, her job was like, she steams vaginas. And I was like, I've never met a woman who does this. So I was like, so fascinated by her. I was like, oh my God, tell me everything. But it just was like in front of this whole audience. And then I lost him at one point.
To a podcast.
Yes, I was like, girl. And then she ended up messaging me on Instagram, like, if you come back, you can get one on the house. I was like, yes, free vaginal steaming. It all worked out.
What is that for exactly?
I was looking at her website. I think it's supposed to be if you have bacterial vaginosis, which I don't have, but it helps with like wetness. It helps with, I don't know, maybe yeast. Maybe it helps with like cramps. Maybe it helps with like, post-pregnancy issues. I imagine it just, I don't know. I don't really know, but I would like the idea of having something hot air blowing up inside me. Like, I'm not going to turn that down.
That's crazy.
But
I don't know what you need to steam your vagina for.
It might not be one of these things that's necessary. I think women have probably lived a very long time, like never having steamed their cooch. It's probably just like, is this like another Gwyneth Paltrow vagina scented candle?
Yeah,
like
that sounds like a goop thing.
Yeah, just have a you day. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it.
You should. So you can, for the bit, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, just for the story. Did you start out doing stand-up and then kind of like fell into this, podcasty world, or did you kind of start?
No, I always wanted to be a writer. Somebody dared me to do comedy and I did it. And then I was like, oh my God, I love stand-up. I was just talking about this with Candace Thompson. She came on my podcast and we were talking about our early days of stand-up, and even pre-stand-up, I memorized Delirious and just,
oh, wow.
But it never occurred to me that was something that I could do. It seemed outside. I was like, oh, Robin, that's like Robin Williams and Crazy Geniuses and Eddie Murphy and Pryor and Carlin. And
I was the same way. So I was just like, that's out of my realm.
Like, that's like me wanting to become an astronaut. It just seemed like so far
scary.
Out of this. Mm-hmm. And then I did it. And I was always that kind of annoying drunk girl that was saying just inflammatory things because I thought it was hilarious the way people reacted. Which doesn't always work great for comedy, honestly, because sometimes I enjoy when people are awkward, and that's not necessarily like looking for a laugh. Sometimes I like the saying the things that make people kind of squirm, and that amuses me. I'm like,
a cringe or a
I
laugh.
have to remember this isn't about me.
Groans are just as good as laughs sometimes.
Oh God, I get a lot of groans. Especially in the early, when you're like really working on a new bit and it's just like grunt, or they'll be like, the worst is, I'm like, no,
oh no, don't,
not the pity. I'll take anything. You can boo me. Don't pity me. That's the worst. I was telling some joke about my fertility or something like that, and how my dad sat me down and he had this conversation with me about freezing my eggs, but I was like 38. I'm like, Dad, this is like debating whether I should freeze a chicken after it's been in the fridge for 7 days. You want
to thaw out this old twice frozen chicken? Yeah.
No.
The time to freeze the eggs was 22. That's the thing is
or even 32. But 30,
right.
I'm like, shouldn't you have had this conversation with me like a decade ago?
You're late, Dad.
Yeah. Much like me to having a baby.
If I had known like this would be my life, like I'm 37, like, yeah, I would have. But that's the thing is like what 22, 25-year-old has $14,000 to freeze their eggs with,
they don't generally. I think they probably get money from like their parents or something. I don't know. I was certainly not. I wonder if I even knew you could freeze your eggs when I was 22. I was just like drinking and I was out of my mind. I don't think I even, geez, those were some crazy years actually. 22, I was busy getting drunk pretty much full time, to the point that I got a kidney infection. I was drinking so much.
Oh no. Yeah. Is that when you wouldn't go to pee? How do you get a kidney infection?
I don't even know. I think I was drinking like mudslides on the rocks was like my drink of that time. And that's just pure hard alcohol. Like
and sugar.
Can't be good for your kidneys.
I was such a dumb drunk whore. Like I think I was also trying to make up for like not landing a guy in college. Like I thought when I went to college, like, oh man, I'm going to clean up these white boys with their white college hats. Like I'm going to be woo. But I didn't. They were not into me. And I was an athlete. So I had so much of my time was like spent diving or whatever. And I had short hair and braces. I was not what anybody wanted. So like after college, I would be that girl, like hanging out at 2 a.m. like literally like what we'd call it, like the cleanup crew. Like I would just be open body language 2 a.m. like I'm here, come and get it.
And now how do you feel?
And now, I know that is not the time or place to meet a quality man. Like, yeah, of course, if you want to like, but this was before apps, No, it's totally. Like if you want to get laid, just get on apps. You could just schedule it within a matter of hours. But yeah, like that's
so glad I like randomly met my husband in recovery. I wasn't even looking. It was just.
Don't they say you're not supposed to date anybody when you're in recovery?
Well, that's why we broke up. He was new and I could like never get good with the fact that he was new. So we were dating and then I was like, I just don't feel right about this. And then we broke up and then got back together like 15 months later.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy, actually. It's kind of a crazy story. But yeah, we ended up and then we just never left each other's side again.
How hot? You're probably like, no, we mustn't, but we can. Like if you're super attracted.
Put himself through a freaking montage sequence in that 15 months too. Like went back to school. I don't know what he did. He grew a beard. All of a sudden, I was like, damn.
Him just doing pull-ups for no reason.
He
like
literally was doing pull-ups.
Gotta get her back. Was it your?
I don't think that was the reason. I think he was just trying to he was pretty heartbroken, and I was like,
so you broke it. You broke it off because you were like, we shouldn't be doing this because we're both in this recovery thing.
You're just not supposed to date like in early recovery. So you can date when there's tons of like boy meets girl in AA or 12-step or recovery stories that I think it's natural you would end up with somebody who kind of speaks the same language and shares the same values. And it would be hard for me, I think, to be with a normie who drank. Like, I couldn't be with I'd probably end up with like some kind of addict who is, like smoking or drinking, because that's the type I'm attracted to. I doubt
Girl,
I would
same.
end up
Yeah.
with a normie, and that would be too weird for me. I think just even somebody who could like drink a beer. I'm like, I'd just be looking at them like, what is this science fiction?
Yeah, be like, you're no fun.
I just, it never made sense to me. Anyone who could do that. I mean, God bless you, but it's not in my genes.
Yeah, my dad drank a lot. I never would call him a alcoholic, but I always know that like I'd come home and after work he'd have like, there'd be like 5 empty beers next to him, Heineken's bottles, green bottles, and he'd just be like laying on the floor with his feet up, like he'd rest his feet, like, because he was a landscaper growing up, and he would just rest his feet like on the couch. He'd never be on the furniture. I don't know if because like his clothes are full of like wood chips or whatever, but like he'd always just be like laying on the carpet, feet up, and then just like beers all around. But then he and I would like bond. We'd watch like Married with Children together, and I'd be like, oh, this is what men are. They're just so unhappy to be in a relationship. They're surly, they're resentful. It was fun. It's great for developing a sense of humor, but like not ideal for being like, what kind of man do I want to end up with?
Yeah. I think a lot about those kind of tropes that we were raised with about men being kind of resentful about being providers and being in relationships. And this is where I wish I had had a little bit more of the benefit of conservatism in my life, because I feel like that the values that now that I've been exposed to more people who grew up in conservative homes, I'm like, oh, you were raised like this is something to be that's honorable.
Yeah, it really
like,
is.
Be a provider, and that being a dad is amazing, and being a husband is amazing, and like there's honor and there's pride in this. It's not something that you resent, and that you're like your wife is always nagging you. And so that I didn't in the media, I didn't have the benefit of even seeing that was something. My parents got divorced when I was young, like, or not young, but I was 12, pretty young, I guess.
That's pretty young. That's still very much kid. Did you stay in good touch with both of them?
Yeah. I mean, my it was rough for a long time. Rough with my dad in the early years, and then rough with my mom in the later years. So but now it's all gravy. I have good relationships with them, and a lot of that is a testament to just me getting sober and doing my own work and looking at my part and not being, the thing I love the most about recovery, and I'm so grateful I got to do it, is looking at my resentments and my part in those resentments, and really weeding out victimhood and entitlement, and being able to even recognize it even when it pops up. That's so important to me. Even
that's a great just life skill that I wish they would teach outside of recovery.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would benefit everybody. And even this morning, I woke up in a mood. I had like that full moon insomnia.
Oh, it's a full moon right now. Yeah.
I just don't sleep when there's a full moon. It's crazy. And so I was up and just whatever. And then I woke up kind of just surly, and I was like, my dog hates me. Everyone hates me. I don't know why. And then my husband's like, and I just started dying laughing. I'm like, I'm so grateful I have a husband who can like call me on my shit and make fun of me. He just like started playing a violin. He was like, oh,
That's
just
great.
mocking me. No, it's so important. I need someone who can just call me out when I'm like in self-pity, you know? It's like, what's your problem?
Oh, for sure. Like I was in a weird mood yesterday too, and like my boyfriend and I were driving back from like Wilmington. We stopped at this Friendly's. I don't know why I ordered this like turkey dinner plate for lunch, and I expected like red skin potatoes, like whole little roasted potatoes or whatever. It's just like for some reason, like what appeared was not what I envisioned, and I just was like, I said to the waitress, I'm like, are there? I think there's supposed to be potatoes on this. She's like, there are potatoes. They're mashed potatoes. Like, because I just didn't see the red skin. And then she paused. She goes, can you see them? And my boyfriend just started dying laughing. Like, and then I just felt like so dumb. But like, yeah, he called me out like so hard after that. Like, and this, like, God bless this waitress lady. She was just like, can you see them? Like, they're there. And then when she came back around, I'm like, yeah, everything's great. I can see the potatoes now. Like, and he just like definitely made fun of me. It's good. You got to be able to like make fun of each other.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's so important, especially I think coming from like the East Coast where my family just roasts me, you know, we all roast each other. I mean, my group text with my siblings, it's just all of us like roasting each other.
That's so nice.
So fun. No, it's so great. And my siblings are hilarious. Truly some of the funniest. I'm like, my brother and my sister, they should be the comedians in the family. They're just hysterical.
Where are you in the birth order?
I'm the oldest.
Of how many? You say 6, 10? Oh, 5.
Yeah,
wow.
My dad's one of 10. I'm one of 5. I'm the oldest of 5. We're all from my mom and dad, 7 years apart between me and the littlest. I'm the only one with no kids. My sister just recently had her first, so now I'm the only one with no babies. But there's like 8 grandkids now between all.
Oh yeah, that's enough.
Yeah, I'm like, you guys have got this, right?
Did you want one at any point?
I feel like I've gone back and forth on it. I feel it's weird because I feel like I'm approaching the other side of that. Like it's not too late for me, but the door, there's maybe like an inch of the door that's still open. And I feel like I've always yeah, I feel like I've left that up to God in many ways. I've never felt the need to force it. You know, like I also feel like I know myself enough that I'm so driven and focused on what I want when I want something, that I feel like I would have already had a kid if that was something that I really wanted. And it's not something I don't want. It's just something that I didn't meet the man that I would have a kid with. It was less about having a kid for me and more about having a family.
Right. Because nobody wants to go, hey, I have some girlfriends that are like, I just need seed and then I want this baby.
Yeah, it's very biological. I get that.
Yeah.
I think they're very happy actually once they do. I never felt that super strong instinct. I always was like, if I want anything, it's a family. And I just didn't meet that person in my youth. I was too busy. You know, I made a lot of really bad choices when I was younger. So, and I wouldn't change any of them because I wouldn't have ended up with the person I'm with now. And that,
right.
And he feels like home, you know, wherever we are, it doesn't really matter, you know, as long as we're kind of, I was like with him and my dog, I'm like, I have what I need. And that's fine. You know, I can always adopt. There's always so many other options too. So there's so many kids. I don't think you have to like have your own child to really experience that feeling of being a mother. And yeah, I'm very much like God's will, you know.
Right. Like if God wants to put a baby in you.
I mean, I could take matters into my own hands and be very aggressive, but even that sounds so God bless the women who go through like the egg retrieval and all of it is so, it's a lot, you know.
It's a lot. The amount of hormones that you have to be on it, they really change you. That whole process of just getting them out of you is like pretty grueling.
Yeah.
And it's months of crazy hormones. And it may or may not even take after all that money is spent.
And you may or may not even have, you know, you'll have like 27 eggs and like 1 or 2 will be viable. Especially at my age now.
And then you're like, what happened to all of them? They all like, what's going on down there? They hard boiled? Like I wasn't at the beach much. What's going on?
They're just, yeah, it's something I think about a lot. It was something even just like stumbling into the culture wars and then getting swept up in conservative media. You hear a lot of the like, oh, the dried ovaries and women go crazy if they don't have a baby and they go over and they're over 40. And I'm like, nah, I know plenty of women who have had babies who are also crazy. I think not, you know, everyone, that's another thing that I'm like, yeah, no one has a monopoly on crazy.
Absolutely. And fulfillment, it's about being fulfilled. I think people just think that like kids is the way for women to feel fulfilled. And it's like, I'm like you, like I've had this career that's been exciting that keeps me growing and learning. And of course I love animals and kids and like I can do a sick French braid. Like I probably would be a good parent, but I've had these other like just big goals in my face, you know, between like podcasts and like touring and, you know, just being trying to be funny. And so yeah, but of course it's like this thing you have to like decide or not, you know.
Yeah, that's
there's definitely pressure.
Yeah, there is. They don't have the ticking biological clock that, you know, it's like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I should probably do it.
Yeah, their door is just wide open. It's like a flapping screen door. There's like nothing keeping it shut. It's like your old dick could make a baby whenever.
Yeah, like Mick Jagger. He's like freaking 80, touring still, making babies.
It's crazy. Like, it's like, does the Mick Jagger baby come out like a little older? Is it like a little bit like a Benjamin Button baby? Like, does it come out like it's 20? You know, like but that old sperm.
Like slowly dancing with a band.
Yeah, with a job, you know. It knows 3 languages. Ugh. It's interesting. You know what else is interesting? Lucy Nicotine. Oh my goodness. I forgot to do my other ad read. Have you ever smoked, Bridget?
Unfortunately.
Cigarettes? Did you know that a good way to possibly quit smoking or at least maybe have a good nicotine alternative is Lucy Nicotine. They were founded by Caltech scientists and former smokers looking for a better and cleaner alternative. These products were researched and developed for 3 years to be made for people, not patients. Lucy has a nicotine gum with 4 milligrams of nicotine that comes in wintergreen, cinnamon, and pomegranate. And they have this sweet little cherry ice flavored lozenge, which I've had, but the top is hard to get off. They're convenient. That you can enjoy them on flights, at work, on the go, in the gym. It's 2021, boys and girls. Time to get rid of your cigarettes, unplug your vape, throw out your dip, and get some Lucy Nicotine gum or lozenges. This is the real deal. A subscription to Lucy comes right to your door every month, so you don't have to leave your house. So for all my CMP listeners, go to lucy.co and use promo code CMP to get 20% off all products. That's lucy.co and use promo code CMP at checkout. Also, I have to give this disclaimer, Bridget. Warning, this product contains nicotine derived from tobacco, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. Woo!
Hey-o. Whoops.
Hey-o. I love this. All right. I'm inspired by you, Bridget. I feel like I'm going to remember consciously, you know, not just reacting to stuff in a funny way, but what do I consciously want to create? You know?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. It's easy to just react to all of this, and in some ways that's not a bad. That's kind of our job, is to be like, all of this is insane, because it all is insane. It's almost hard to be a comedian because everything is so ridiculous, and it is like the beyond parody, where it's the word I made up. It's like when reality becomes parody, how do you make fun of it? But I do think it's I've just been, people want to laugh and they need relief. And this is why I can't stand like the even like the Oscars just collapsing. I'm like,
Oh my God.
well,
Did you even watch it at all?
no,
I just didn't
I
even think
honestly
of
didn't
it.
even know that they were on. And I was laughing.
Are movies even happening? Like, what movies happened other than Godzilla Kong?
My
Like,
friend was like, if the pandemic killed the Oscars, it was all worth it.
oh my God, yes, for real. I think, yeah, we've been hearing the celebrity death rattle for a good minute now.
Because people don't want to be freaking lectured at everywhere you go. You just want to tune out, and they don't need to have the like, I don't know. I don't know what world these people live in, but it's not the world where most normal people are just going to work, grinding through their day. They come home, their kids are, running around, they're exhausted. They've been in traffic or not, or what in the past year. Obviously, this is different. And they just want to turn something on and let their brain go to a magical place and escape where it's hard. Like, as we've been talking about since the beginning of this podcast, it's hard being human. It's hard and it's messy, and it's actually easier than it's ever been in the history of the world. We're not like having to forage for food,
plow anything.
Churn some butter, like everything is so convenient. It's crazy. Even recently I was watching this past Christmas, I just was like, I'm binge watching Rome again because we got HBO Max.
Oh, I never even saw it the first time.
It's so good. But especially the earlier seasons. But I was watching, I don't even know how many seasons there were, like 2 maybe, but I was watching the show and just remembering like how much it sucked to be a woman for mostly ever.
You had to just like bleed into a bale of hay or something, or like not even go out.
You were property at best, and probably a courtesan or a prostitute, or I mean, the options for women were so limited, and you probably died in childbirth. Everything was so gnarly. And it was hard for men too, they were going off to war. How did anyone survive those battles? I don't understand.
Die over nothing. Yeah. Like, and be okay with it.
All of it was so hard. I mean, this is when I think we just have too much. Like, the reason it's so much of the stuff is a miracle. Some vaccines are a miracle. Yeah. They have saved millions of lives, the good ones. And now it's like everything being politicized is very, very bad. Politics should not be a religion. It's just bad.
Yeah. Or someone's whole personality.
Yeah. But yeah, I was watching that and I was like, God, I'm sitting here like eating a pizza that was made and brought to my door
immediately
by an app that I entered on my little magic doom box that gets me whatever I want in 24 hours. Like, that's just crazy.
Well, there's less challenges.
Like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
The earth is like, nothing has ever been so bad. I'm like, really? Why don't you ask the people who were around during the Black Plague?
Yeah, I have the luxury to consider that the earth might be flat. You know what I mean? Like, people just not right. Like, the so focused forever. Like, I don't even have all my basic needs met, and now I get to be bored. Like, wow.
Now you get to, not only that, you're like, I need this back scratcher and I need it tomorrow. And it will appear. It will appear on your door.
Yeah.
It's just, we have it so good. And I try to remember that too. That's like a big part of my daily practice is gratitude, because I do think it is like an antidote to nihilism for me. When I spend too much time online, it's easy to be like, wow, everything's shit and everyone is shit. And that's not true. Like you pointed out, there was the, immediate in the aftermath of this video, there's a rallying of people who want to help this person. And we've seen this with pretty much every movement in the past however many years. Target Tori came on my podcast on Walk-Ins Welcome, and she was that girl who went viral for,
I don't
some
know
guy
about
posted her picture.
Targetory. What happened
Some
with her?
idiot on Twitter, some blue check, posted her picture because he wanted to get a free toothbrush that they had mislabeled, and he called the cops, and apparently he does this all the time. And she just was like looking like a young, just upset kind of manager, and he took her picture and it went viral because everyone's like, wow, you're a real piece of shit. And then they did this whole GoFundMe to get her a vacation, and it like far superseded, and now her whole brand, because she came on and I was like, what's it like to go viral like that? And then you have a GoFundMe, and that is crazy. And now her whole brand is kindness, because she saw the other side of that, the callousness and cruelty. She was met with just an overwhelming surge of kindness from random strangers. And then she went to Hawaii and was like giving money away and leaving it. Yeah, she's an amazing human, just the cutest human ever.
Oh, so maybe that's what we're seeing now, like it's been enough of this like woke shit, and like enough people are like vocalizing that they're sick of it. It's like, all right, it's taken a long time for laughs to be like, okay, we're all in agreement. We fucking can't stand this shit. This is terrible. Like, this is people's lives here. Like, we've lost our humanity. And so now I'm hoping that we're part of like a pendulum swing, like back to like, come on, man, like let's fucking be there for each other and try to go into it like for peace, like making peace instead of like looking for conflict, looking for a division. So
on my good days, I think yes. On my bad days, I think it's so the creeping aspect of critical theory is so insidious that it gets, and it kind of like infects everything everywhere it goes. And I'm not sure there's any way to stop that process, because that process has actually been going on for so long. And even when I read these books, like Kindly Inquisitors is a great one.
Oh yeah, Kindly Inquisitor.
Yeah, where he was talking about, this is the book that like James Lindsay and Helen Pluckrose recommend everybody read. When they came on the podcast, I was asking them, what's the one book you should read in that? And it's so brilliant. And he was talking about this ages ago. And Amusing Ourselves to Death is from the 80s. And it was all about how when we turn everything into entertainment, including our politics and education, it's going to be horrible. And even recently, I don't know why, I read Breitbart's autobiography. I was just interested in.
I almost ordered that too the other like a month or two ago. I was like,
he's an
maybe.
Interesting person, and I was like, I don't read enough of that kind of stuff from the right wing perspective, like the autobiographies and the stories. And I read his, and that was interesting too, because he was at this a long time, and that the process was already happening. And I'd be very interested to know what he would think about all the things happening now, because he seemed to think like the internet was the great. Yep, that's it.
Is it this gray one?
The one. That one. Yep.
Ooh.
So he seemed to think that this was like the internet was a great leveler, and now with the internet and the people who are behind the infrastructure and social media making these decisions with algorithms, I'm not so sure that he would be as optimistic. Yeah, so it's interesting. Seems like a process that's been happening for a while. It's not something that just appeared. This has been around. It's just something that's kind of gone mainstream now.
Yeah.
And corporate. Now it's like gone into the corporations.
Same thing kind of ish with like celebrities. Like I've been thinking like, yeah, they've always been full of themselves and out of touch and not really struggling for the most part. Like, yeah, I mean, like you and I, like or being actresses or whatever, it's like we're still down with like the real people. But like celebrities, it's like I remember I'd watch E! With my sister and my mom, and we'd be like, ooh, the Kardashians, and it was like fun and glamorous, and we didn't really know them too well. And now it's like social media. We know celebrities too well. And we hear every dumb thought they have. So it's like it's taken them down. Like they're still glamorous, but we also like see all the faults. So it's like, ugh, why are we worshiping these people? Like, you know what I mean? Like they're not helping us and they say dumb shit and they are out of touch. So
celebrity
the bubble was popped.
Too. My friend Mitchell has a great, just like a brilliant perspective that when the economy is bad and things are bad, we like like trashy celebrities.
Oh my God.
And like, look at, Jersey Shore when that was popular.
16 and Pregnant. People love that show.
And then when things are it's like during the pandemic, we all loved, Tiger King and stuff like that. Like we want people who, when we're in strife, but then during the good old days, even in who were like, think of like the Ocean's 11 days when things were, those are like the Obama years when everybody, but even think of how funny South Park was making fun of that George Clooney speech where it was like the smug was infecting. It's one of my favorite South Parks. It's where it's like the smug from George Clooney's, acceptance speech at the Oscars is going to mix with the smug from everybody in San Francisco with their electric cars. And like,
oh my God, that smog. Oh, that's so funny. I love South Park. Is always right on the money.
Were just light years. That was light years ahead of this stuff though. So yeah, I think it's been a process. I'm interested to see how it all. But on the other hand, I think people are just sick of it. Everyone's like, I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah. They're tuning out. I'm sick of myself. Just like you said, I'm sick of myself like 3 times a week. I'm like, this bitch again? You have nothing to say. Like I'm just in here. Like, just turn it off, Chrissy. Just go make a sandwich for someone. I don't know.
I don't want to. I'm with you on that. I don't want to. I'm sick of. Even when people are like, "Let's talk about cancel," I'm like, "Can we not?" Like, I've been talking about this since 20. I'm glad you just woke up and recognized this is happening. Yeah, but I don't.
Congrats.
Yeah, I've been talking about this. I'm bored. Can we move the conversation to something else? And that's on me. I'm like, I'd rather talk about like meal prepping and how do you take care of yourself physically and what the things that we can control, like our media diet, our actual diet.
Making yourself a stronger person. Like I just joined this and I hate that they're not even a sponsor. Maybe they will be eventually, but this like app called Noom, and it's like you log your food because I've been on every diet. It's like you log your food and yes, it tracks like what type it is. It doesn't like tell you what to eat. It just goes, okay, you ate a cheeseburger, bitch, like possibly slow your roll for the rest of the day. It like color codes all the food, but then it has like little psychology things to read through. So you understand like
behavioral therapy.
Yeah. Yep. It's pretty cool.
No, Noom is great. And I like it that it doesn't have, it's like moderation. Is something that's not natural to me, but it's definitely, like, all right, you ate a lot of like, not even bad food, just red food weren't giving you great, calories, like healthy foods. Yeah. That's, I think there's so many, and especially in the pandemic, so many people have gained weight, we have such a like fucked up relationship to food and weight in this country. And I'm always joking about the fats because I came from a family of like a long line of fat shamers. And I think it's just like, it just kind of cracks me up. We're always like on dumpster fire, as we're like the fats, the poors, the olds.
Yeah.
Life is funny.
Life is funny.
It is funny to me that poor people, like when in the history of the world were like poor people fat.
Yeah, it's easiest for them to be fat because their food is right. Yeah. Like if you really want, like McDonald's is so cheap and like canned
delicious.
And all the food that's like right in your face in the supermarket. It's like, it's going to make you fat. It's the cheapest. It's on sale. It's subsidized.
It's a math problem. But when you really start looking at the math, you're like, geez, Louise, I can work out hard for like 30 minutes and burn maybe 200 calories if you're lucky. And I can eat that and like 2 crackers.
This thing, the app thing, has me on 1,200 calories a day. I was like, when you
shit.
figure out how little that really is,
Like nothing.
whoo, that's not even a full brunch scenario.
No, that's nothing. You can eat that in like one morning, 3 cupcakes. Boom.
Yeah.
2 cupcakes. You're out. You're
out.
like logged out.
But yeah, I gotta no, I didn't let myself go in COVID, but I'm at the outer rim of my acceptable range, you know?
I get it. It's a struggle.
It's a struggle. Bridget, thank you so much for coming on. Other than folks checking out Bridget Fire, Dumpster Fire on YouTube and your podcast, Walk-ins Welcome, where else can people find you, follow you, check out your stuff?
The best place is Phetasy.com, which is my website. It's on Locals, and it's like a new kind of Patreon. But that's if you go to Phetasy.com, you can just follow me there. And I have open posts, and then you can also subscribe, and I have closed posts, and we're just we call it the fam. It's it's not like anywhere else on the internet. And I've even been surprised by the amazingness of this community, how they show up for each other in the pandemic. It's all like recipes and people posting memes, and they talk about politics, and they'll agree and disagree, but it's very much like a shelter for the politically homeless.
Yes. Oh, that sounds so good.
Work on the stuff you and I were talking about, weight loss and what you can control. And with the women in the community, we do a workout every day at noon, my time.
Ooh.
We call it the Sarah Connor. I started it a year ago now. It's a sister code of Sarah Connor, because I was like, look, we're getting ready for the apocalypse. We're not gonna let ourselves go in this shit. And it's amazing. Those women have become friends of mine, because we all just show up on Zoom, and then I'll stream a workout, and we all do it together and swear.
My God. Wait, so
so fun.
I want to do this. If I want to do this workout, I would go to Phetasy.com and join the Sarah Connor group.
Well, yeah, you would just join my community, and it's like nothing. It's we just got annual subscription, so now it's $5 a month or $50 a year.
Oh God,
and
that's worth it.
It's nothing. And then especially because it's like my gym now.
Yeah. Goodbye, Planet Fitness. Yeah.
We get the unedited dumpster fires, which is why most people subscribe.
Ooh.
So we do the unedited and release that on Sundays, and then the free one is for everyone, and that goes out on YouTube. But the unedited is just mostly unedited is just the hour that we shoot, and it's bonkers.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to see how the sausage is made. And they're just such a good that's where I've been spending most of my time, because I'm like, what do I want the internet to look like? What do I want my life to look like? Where should I be? You fall where you lean, where you're leaning. I don't, if I'm spending most of my time on Twitter, I'm contributing to a platform that I don't really even agree with a lot of their positions, and the way that they adjudicate people who do things versus other people that they might not agree with ideologically. And I could be spending it in this amazing community of people who are supportive and loving to not only one another, but they just seem like genuinely good people.
Wow.
I mean, my friend was kind of struggling, and I was like, hey, check out my friend's comedy. She's having a rough time and wants to give up, and she's the funniest person I know, and they donated to. She was like, your fans are amazing.
Cool.
They're not even my fans, they're my friends. And so yeah, and the women too have just shown up for each other, and that I don't know, it's connection, that's why I got into that's why I wanted to do any of this. That's why I wanted to tell stories, podcasts, jokes. It's all just me wanting to connect to people and connect people, and not divide people, which is why I'm like, no, punditry, bad. That's divisive. That's not connective tissue of our society. It feels like a cancer that we need to expel.
It has a stabby energy to it. This is great, because I've lost so many friends over the last year, so maybe this is where I need to go to find my new peeps.
that's also what has been so great for me, is because I just didn't have that. I too lost many friends in LA and on the left who, what, for many reasons, and whatever, that's fine. I get it. But they're all like, I don't think there's very much women get left out of that. There's a lot of space for the like men who are a little bit more libertarian.
Oh, for sure.
There's so many women who are like, I love guns and I'm pro-choice. And that's like the community that we kind of have fostered in Phetasy, of just like lots of libertarian, like weed smoke, just like cool chicks. It's great.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. They've been like, it's great when you create something and then it shows up for you, and you're like,
yeah, that's
you
amazing.
Create a community and then that community shows up and they carry you. They carried me when my friend died. They're just, it's been I am very proud of like what we have in that space, and I'm very protective of it.
Yeah,
and
you're doing it.
That's what I love about locals, though, is you can like boot it. I'm like, this is my digital house, and I can boot you if you're a dick. My one rule, I'm like, don't be a dick. It's a very simple rule. You can disagree and whatever, but don't be a dick.
Sounds simple. Yeah, don't be a dick. I love it. This is great. You're doing it, Bridget. You're being the change.
Chrissy.
Oh. Bridget, this was so great. Thank you for coming on. I feel like we could
Sorry, I cried in the first 5 minutes.
Oh my God. That was like, I wanted to hug you. I was like, no, I have her on. I'm making her cry right away. But it was like amazing. See, you're like not a hardened pundit. Everyone follow Bridget, join her locals, check out Phetasy.com. And yes, maybe I'll have you on again, or we'll meet in real life.
Anytime. You'll have to come on walk-ins. Welcome.
Oh, definitely.
We'll
cool.
switch roles.
We'll switcheroo. Thanks, Bridget. Bye.